Welcome to Through the Bible in a Year with Pastor John. We invite you to join us at 1 Oakleigh Avenue in North Providence, Rhode Island. This podcast is presented to you by The Way Ministries, supported by listeners like you. For donations, live videos, podcasts, and more, please visit www.thewayministriesri.org. Thank you and have a great day.
Hi everybody, welcome to Through the Bible in a Year with Pastor John. Glad you could join me today to get a portion of God's Word. Today we're going to begin on day 28, January 28th, reflection and worship. Father knows best. It's going to be a reflection on looking back at the previous 6 days, look up and look ahead, and a chance to catch up if you've missed any of the days. Father knows best. More than 35,000 laws have been written trying to improve upon what God said in the Ten Commandments. Look back. On center stage for this entire week of reading has been Moses, the humble servant leader of the Hebrew people, whether calling down plagues upon hard-hearted Pharaoh, leading God's people through the Red Sea and the wilderness, or receiving God's law at Mount Sinai. Moses demonstrates the attitudes of humility and authority. Entrusted with a high visibility role, Moses never flaunts his position or exploits his countrymen for personal gain. Rather, he leads them in fear of the Lord. That's not to say Moses' patience isn't severely tried by God's stiff-necked people. You have already read about 6 encounters between Moses and his rebellious countrymen, and 4 more confrontations lie just ahead. But Moses' leadership is consistently marked by 2020 vision, Exodus 2020 vision, that is, don't be afraid, for God has come in this way to test you, and so that your fear of Him will keep you from sinning. Look up. Words communicate thoughts. If you want to know what someone is thinking, listen carefully to what he or she is saying. And if you want to know the most important thought on a person's heart, ask that person to express his or her thoughts in just 10 words. Try it yourself. Take 10 words or less to capture the most important thought on your mind right now. The 10 commandments that Moses received on Mount Sinai contain more than 10 words, but in them you'll find 10 thoughts that are near and dear to the heart of God. Think back over what you read this past week, or turn to Exodus 20 if you need a quick review, and summarize what God said about each of the following. Other gods, Exodus 20, verse 3. Sabbath, Exodus 20, verses 8 to 11. Stealing, Exodus 20, verse 15. Idols, Exodus 20, verses 4 and 6. Parents, Exodus 20, verse 12. Lying, Exodus 20, verse 16. Misusing the name of God, Exodus 20, verse 7. Murder, Exodus 20, verse 13. Coveting, Exodus 20, verse 17. Adultery, Exodus 20, verse 14. Unless you conclude that the 10 Commandments are only found in the Old Testament, notice what Jesus said to the rich young ruler in Mark 10, verse 19. Look ahead. It might be easy to conclude that God, as described in the pages of the Old Testament, is a God of do's and don'ts. After all, look at all the rules and regulations that the people of God were required to observe. But God often goes beyond telling His people what to do and tells them why they should do it. He wants what is best for them. Watch for the telltale words for because or that, which signal that God is about to include the why along with the what. As you continue your reading in the books of Exodus and Leviticus, don't get lost in the maze of statutes and ordinances. Remember to use Exodus 2020 vision as you read. And if you're curious to know which of the hundreds of commandments is nearest and dearest to the heart of God, take a look at Matthew 22, verses 34 to 40, and Mark 12, verse 28 to 34. That's something to remind us. That's all for today, my friends. Have a great day. God bless, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.